Hey everyone, how you doing? We haven't really gotten some new Relink information in a long time now, and I kind of thought we weren't going to get anything from the 6th anniversary livestream, which I was kind of right. The only official information we got on Relinks was Cygames pretty much stating that the Osaka team is working hard on the game, and they hope that you support the cell phone game for its 7th year right now. And I was like, okay, that's kind of standard. I don't think they were going to actually give us real solid information on anything Relinks related for a while now. But if you guys want to check out a video I did beforehand where I speculate when we could see another big reveal for the game, check out the little eye icon right about now. It should be showing up, so click on that if you want to watch that video. But if you're going to stick around, I thought it'd be kind of fun to just do a little video on 10 characters I hope become playable in Granblue Fantasy Relinks, and just have a fun little discussion about it. And guys, please feel free to leave in the comments section your choices for characters you hope become playable in the game. And with this video, guys, I hope you can also respect my choices, because I would very much respect yours, and this is just completely my opinion, and this video is purely just for fun. So with that out of the way, guys, let's jump right into this video, shall we? Alright guys, and kicking the video off at number 10 is a character that is actually pretty nostalgic for me. I pretty much started playing Granblue Fantasy about maybe a couple months ago, and if you guys don't know, when you first join the game, after you reach a certain point, they give you one free draw that gives you a guaranteed SSR weapon, and when you get that weapon, it also gives you one of the SSR characters. So this character was actually the very first SSR character I got, and that is of course Zeta. Now the reason I picked Zeta, besides having that little sentimentality for her, is I actually do enjoy her character a lot, because when I joined the game, there was an actual event going around that specifically focused on both her and Vaseraga, and it kind of got me really interested in the characters, and honestly it got me really interested in the society members as well. And I'm pretty sure Zeta is by hands down the most popular member of the society crew. But I'm also a big sucker for spiel weirders too, because given how she looks and how she handles, I feel like her playstyle could be a mix of Zhao Yun and Yukimura, more as Yukimura's got his grounded combos, but I feel like she would have the crazy air mobility and just dexterity of Zhao Yun to go crazy on it. That's why I kind of pick Zeta. I really do enjoy her design. I also really like her characteristics, how she interacts with the rest of the society members, and the fact that she's a tomboy looking for tough opponents, which I think is a really nice thing. And like I said, I'm pretty sure she has a good shot of making it in here, because next to the 4 Dragon Knights, I believe the society members are actually pretty high up there in popularity. But that's why she starts off the list at number 10. Much like Zeta, this character also held somewhat of a sentimental value for me. I don't actually have her on my team, but when I was getting interested in Granblue Fantasy Relinks long before I actually got into the game, this character along with Siegfried actually got me really interested, and I just liked her design and the concept around her, and that was of course Aliza. And the reason I picked her was because I really do like martial arts style characters, and I found her very interesting, and I like the fact that she uses her legs as a fighting style, so somewhat like a female Sanji, only she's not boy crazy. And I really did enjoy her character arc that she has with her childhood friend Stan, and their interaction with each other, and the fact that you can see that she really has genuine feelings for him, and that just for some reason was interesting. I really like that arc, and having a melee character in this game like martial arts would be really interesting. And if I had to pick a fighting style I think kind of interesting for her, I would imagine something like Dante from Devil May Cry 5 with his Balrog equipment, but it would be more along the kick version, because I feel like she would match what Dante could do in game with her fiery kicks, and I feel like she would just be an insane force for one-on-one combat. But that's kind of why I pick Aliza for my number 9 spot. This guy was kind of interesting for me, because when I first saw him, I really wasn't that interested in him as a character, but after I unlocked him and actually took some time to invest into his story and also see how he kind of evolves throughout the process of his story, I eventually fell in love with this guy just based on his own character arc, and that is Eustace. Also another member of the society, just like Zeta and Vaseraga and Beatrix, but he's more of a stern, colder type character. He's cool, calm, collective, and kind of a loner, and I think his epitaph is like the Lone Lightning Wolf, because of the weapon he uses is actually, I believe it's called a sealed weapon. Is that what makes them special is that their weapons were actually designed by, I believe, the Moon Dwellers, which we've just found out, spoilers, my bad, and that they actually get stronger when they kill primal beasts, and they actually resonate with their contractor. So that I find interesting. But enough about the lore. What I really liked about him is the fact that he's this kind of cool gunman, and the fact that he's also voiced by the same guy who does Zoro, Jahadun Dianwei, and a bunch of other famous characters in the anime space. I really like how he sounds. And Gameplay wise, I feel like Eustace would be a combination of Dante from Devil May Cry 5's Gunslinger mode, specifically with the Coyote A, which is a shotgun, and Maguichi Saika from the Samurai Warriors franchise, just because I feel like both of those characters kind of encompass what I feel like Eustace could do on the battlefield, because he's not like the slow mover, he's actually pretty energetic with his gun control if you see him in the game. So I feel like he'd be a very interesting character to add to the game with a gunslinger style, and that's kind of why I picked him at number 8. Now, I know everyone knows who this lovely character is because she's pretty damn famous, I think. I think she's one of the top considered waifus of the franchise, and actually I like her design, but what really drew me to Narmaya, who is my number 7 pick, is because she was actually one of the first characters I saw wielding a katana. And fun fact, in the game, she actually has the ability to switch between 2 different fighting styles. There's a quick draw style in the vein of something like Virgil from Devil May Cry or Jotai from the Dynasty Warrior franchise, and then she has another style where she actually has the sword drawn and she's wielding with one hand, and I feel like that would be more of a typical swordmaster fighting style. But like I said, I think the quick draw style would be interesting because you would kind of get like a certain feel like it is a little bit of Jotai and a little bit of Virgil. Honestly, that's one of my favorite sword move sets in any game in anime because it just looks so badass when they draw the sword super quick and they slash you. And I feel like Relinks would do really well with her as a character because I think it'd be fun to give her that switch mechanic in gameplay where she's doing like quick draw slashes in the one stance and then you click a button and she turns into the other stance, and that completely changes the combo strings, and then maybe also affects the skills depending on which style you're in. Maybe they'll have different effects with different stances, but I feel like that'd be very interesting. And much like Zeta, she's also a very popular character, so I think she has a really good chance of making it into the game. And honestly, like I said, I think her playstyle would be awesome, and her personality is also kind of interesting too, how she gets super attached to the main character. It's just kind of adorable in my opinion, but that's kind of why I'm picking Narmaya for my number 7 pick. Man, I freaking love this guy, and he's so hard to get on your team. But what drew me to Vaseraga, who is my number 6 pick, is the fact that I actually liked his character. When I first saw him, I was a little off-put. I was like, he's too edgelordy. Like, you know, a younger me would really love this character, and that's kind of what I wrote him off. But once I actually got to, again, experience this character alongside I did with Zeta, I really liked him. Like, he wasn't just this, you know, stereotypical edgelord. He was this, you know, dark, brooding character, but he had a heart of gold. And another thing that really adds to that is he also goes berserk, and that's another thing I like berserk kind of characters that just lose themselves to an uncontrollable rage but get this immense powerful surge and make them like indestructible killing machines. And for Vaseraga's case, that's actually true because his sealed weapon, the scythe, actually lets him grow armor off of his skin to keep him protected. So when he goes into a berserk rage, he actually gets more of that. That's kind of interesting, and that's kind of why I like the guy. But he's also got the same voice actor who voices Akainu in One Piece, and he has other various roles too, but that's the one I can think of off the top of my head. If I had to pick like a fighting style for him, I can only think of 2 characters I feel like would fit mostly well with him in a moveset, and that would be Kiyomasa Kaido's moveset from Samurai Warriors and also Toshihiya Shimazu's, only because Kiyomasa obviously uses a scythe as his weapon, so I feel like they would have some similarities with that. But I also feel like he would take some of the more unorthodox fighting style from Toshihiya because of when he goes in berserk, he literally is just a madhouse of power and uncertainty, and he just looks so amazing. And those are kind of the reasons why I like Vaseraga and why I wanted to add him to this list, and I'm very happy that he's in my number 6 spot. Here we are, guys, at number 5. Now, the character who makes it to this spot is a very interesting character in my opinion because her personality is somewhat like Genji, Lady Nose, and Coco shows, how she pretty much has a playful side to her as she hits on the main character and also teases Lawyer, which I find very interesting, and that is Magisa. Now, what makes Magisa very interesting in my opinion is she is actually a very powerful witch who specializes in fire magic, and her special attack, literally she summons a meteorite from the sky and slams it into the opponents, which I think is really cool. And I guess another big reason why I like Magisa and put her on this list, it's kind of a huge part of her character. It's a very large defining aspect of what makes Magisa Magisa, and a lot of people kind of think the same way because it's such a big, massive part of her core character. Guys, that is of course the fact that she is a fucking stand. I know, that's right, JoJo references. She has the ability to summon a demonic partner called Modix, and essentially in the cell phone games when he is summoned, he pretty much gives her all these amazing buffs that make her a lot more dangerous. But since that's just a turn-based cell phone game and Relinks is going to be an action RPG, I feel like that means means if they put Magisa and the ability to summon Maruks into the game, he will act kind of like a pseudo party member. At least that's how I feel like. And a gameplay you could pull from would be if you've ever seen Devil May Cry 5 with V, he has a special ability when he activates his devil trigger, he summons a giant golem-esque creature called Nightmare that essentially runs around the battlefield doing whatever it wants, but can also team up with V to do special attack. Now I kind of feel like that would be a good gameplay style for Magisa and Maruks to have, because he could go out do his own thing, and then Magisa could probably somewhat issue commands to him to do a team up attack, because I know when they do their charge attack together, he pretty much slams his fist on the ground and summons the meteor himself, and along with I believe a bunch of other scatter meteorites to hit extra. There's a lot of potential with this gameplay wise to have this somewhat like puppeteer system, and obviously he would have a long cooldown because having a literal 5th party member would be kind of OP for the game. But I feel like if Relinks does put her in the game with that ability, I think it has a lot of potential to be insanely fun. But that's just some of the reasons why I picked Magisa at my number 5 spot. Number 4, we have a character who actually started out the game as an antagonist to our main character, and is kind of considered one of the most powerful characters in the entire franchise. And of course, I am talking about the Black Knight. What? No, not that Black Knight. Get him out of here. Although that being said, she's no less as OP as that character is. Now, what makes the Black Knight so interesting is the fact that she is part of, I believe they're called the Luminary Knights, and they are 7 knights who I believe answer to one true king in the sky, but they're all insanely powerful characters. And the Black Knight is the only one who's actually been made playable. I believe most of them have been shown off, but not all the characters have been revealed. She is a freaking powerhouse in the game, and honestly, she has the presence of what I would consider like a Lu Bu character. And for her gameplay style, I feel like the closest we could get would be Sengoku Basara's maybe like Nobunaga Oda, where he uses a shotgun and a sword at the same time, because she does have a gun in combination with her sword. And I don't know if they're going to go with the full limit breaks, which is their 5-star cap, where she just uses her cursed sword, but I think that'd be awesome. But either way, I feel like she would just be a powerhouse on the battlefield. She would probably be a tank that can hit really freaking hard and might have some decent crowd control and range. I feel like she'd be like a really well-purposed character who just would annihilate things on the battlefield. But that's kind of why I'm picking the Black Knight at number 4, just because of how powerful she is, and honestly, I think she'd be really OP too. Now we've made it to the top 3, guys, and we're going to start the top 3 off with Lucio, one of the characters I found very interesting, and because his backstory is connected to the creator of the world of Granblue Fantasy, which if you guys don't know is Bahamut, and he kind of vaguely disappeared, but he left Lucio behind as an arbiter of peace and justice for the world, and his mission, if you will, is to save pretty much everyone in the Sky Realm from the Crimson Horizon, which essentially is, I guess, hell if you want to think about it, because that's where all the demons are. He's pretty cool. I really like his design, and another fun fact about him, besides being an archangel with 6 wings and 3 katanas, which is really badass, he's also got the same voice actor as Cloud, Tomioka from Demon Slayer, Regan from Mob Psycho 100, and a bunch of other anime characters, including him. And honestly, I feel like Lucio would be a very interesting character to have, because since he does have the ability to float around the battlefield, I feel like comparatively, if you look at Devil May Cry 5, specifically Dante, he has something called Sin Devil Trigger, which is kind of his ultimate devil form. And what it is, he just literally floats around the battlefield with his quad wings, but he's very massively devastating, and he has this ability where he can have these energy swords come out from behind him and help him during mid slashes. And I feel like since Lucio uses 3 katanas, but in actuality he only uses 1 katana and the other 2 come out via magic or some kind of otherworldly power, I feel like that would be a kind of a nice staple to pull from, is if he does 1 slash, maybe he has an ability where either he can summon the other swords and they fly around for a little bit, or if he draws the sword, the other 2 swords come out and finish the combo and then go right back into the sheaves. Either way, I feel like there's a lot of good potential with Lucio as a playable character. Yeah, that's kind of why I put Lucio at number 3, and I really hope he does make it into the game, because honestly, I think he's a cool character. Number 2 is kind of a special case, because when I first saw this character, I wasn't really that impressed with him. It's kind of more of his grand version that I fell in love with and like his design, but I do like his regular design too. And he is actually a member of the core cast now, thanks to I think one of the most previous arcs in the main cell phone game, and that is of course Cain. Now, I don't know really a lot about Cain story-wise, because I haven't gone to his chapter. I just have his grand character, and honestly, I love him. Like, I love the fact that he's a strategist. I love the fact that he uses a katana along with a gun, and combat-wise, if we were to take that aspect, I feel like he would share some similarities with Mitsuhide Akechi from the Samurai Warriors franchise, and probably Kojiro Katakura from the Sengoku Basara version, just of how he would handle his swordsmanship. Honestly, like I said, because he's a strategist, I feel like he could do a lot of buffs to his allies and some decent debuffs to his enemy, and since he does have that gun sub-weapon, that could be either a special skill where he had a long range option, or they could incorporate it into the combo like they do with his charge attack for the grand version in the cell phone games. And another thing I like about Cain too is just how he looks, and his personality is kind of cool too from the things I've read on him. him, his concept for combat could be really cool. And I kind of hope actually that they give us the option to buy other outfits, because I like base Cain's outfit, but I like his grand version a lot better. But that's kind of the reason why I picked Cain at number 2. And here we are, guys, finally at my number 1 pick. Now, that's not to say that I hope the other 9 characters don't make it into the game playable. I really would like everyone on this list to become playable, but this guy, number 1 for me. And basically, it's because I love his design and kind of what I feel like his gameplay combat could be like. And that, of course, the number 1 guy being, and I apologize if I butchered this name immensely, Nazafhili. For the interest of not butchering that name again, I'm gonna call him Eagle King from now on. Good? Good. So, why do I like Eagle King? Well, I really like his design. I love that spear, but I think I really love his 5-star uncap, which makes him look ridiculously intimidating and a little bit regal in my opinion. And he also has an eagle companion, which in the game, if it strikes, he actually gets, I think, a bonus to crit damage on anyone who has that mark. So they could implement that into the gameplay as well, where he could maybe have a skill where he summons his eagle companion to strike the enemy, and then every time he attacks, he does critical damage like he does in the base game. And then another thing I like about him is he's kind of a mature character. He's about, I think, 35, I think, in the game they said, and he's also a king, so he has a regal presence. But he also has a fear of height, which I find very interesting, and that's actually a running gag, I think, within his entire family, is that they're all pretty much afraid of heights, even though they are supposed to be the king of feathers and they have eagles. I just find that hysterical. And I feel like combat wise, the closest we could feel like, I would probably say like maybe a mix of like Tadakatsu and Guan Yu being like a very grounded and crowd control attacks that do a lot of damage, and maybe a little bit of Keiji Maeda's attacks, maybe for some like wild strikes and everything. But I also feel like he'd have a pretty decent air combo, considering, you know, he's touted as being the Eagle King. And I feel like that'd be kind of interesting, and maybe they could even incorporate his eagle friend into maybe some of his combos. But yeah, that's kind of why I like this character, and his voice is really cool too. But these are just the reasons why I picked him, and I know it's really hard for me to describe why I picked these characters, but basically it is based on appearance, and it's also based on how I feel like how fun they could be in the game itself. And again, I think he's just a really cool character, and that's not to belittle anyone else on this list as well. But that's why I put Nizavahali / the Eagle King as my number 1 pick for I hope who becomes playable in Granblue Fantasy Relinks. But that's really going to do it for me, guys. I hope you really enjoyed the video. I enjoyed talking about it, and like I said at the beginning of the video, please feel free to leave in the comments characters you hope can make it into the game as playable. I'd really love to see what you guys say and who you would pick as characters themselves, because this game has a lot of characters. I think they have over maybe 300 plus characters, and as you saw, pretty much everyone on this list was an SSR character for me, only because I feel like they're the most powerful members of the game, and whenever they talk about the game and promote it, they're usually the guys that are at the forefront. So that's kind of why I picked them. But like I said, just let me know who you guys' favorite characters are, and that's pretty much going to do it for me, guys. So I want to thank you very much for watching the video. I want you all to have a great day. I also want you guys to be safe out there, and also to remember, let's rock!